Hi, YouTube. It's Angela. Today, we're going to do a soul guidance reading utilizing the Four Agreements. This deck, based on the book by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's been around for a while, since I think the 90s, and it's based on an ancient Toltec wisdom based in Mexico. And it's just four very simple premises to live your life by. And the first one is be impeccable with your word. This is asking you to speak with integrity. Only say what you mean. Don't speak what you don't mean. And soon you start to not think, what you don't mean either. And you start to infuse that with your thoughts. Don't use negativity. Don't speak of others. Don't speak against yourself. Don't gossip about others. And always using your word to speak in the direction of love. So that's the first premise: be impeccable with your word. And there's several cards for each agreement. And the card that I pulled for be impeccable with your word is manifest your intention. This is be impeccable with your word. It doesn't matter about, speaking out loud. It's making sure the words that you tell yourself, right, are moving in the direction of your intention. If your intention is for connection, right, then you think and speak words and thoughts that only move toward connection. So that is the first one, manifest your intentions. And I pulled Zen cards to go with these. And I pulled the source. This is tapping into the core of your soul. And we all know that what lives at the core of our soul is mainly love. And so if we are tapping into that source and utilizing that energy to speak up, speak out, right, connect with others, talk to the universe from that source of love, then we have a smoother path as we guide toward the intentions, toward the things we want to achieve, the things that we want to manifest in our lives. And remember, this is energy. So it could or could not mean I want to manifest a new car, but really what the energy is I want to manifest enough empowerment so that I can, bring in the money and afford the new car. So it starts with the energy, with the feeling within you. And then for most of us, the intentions that we set have to do with our energy and where we want to direct it and who we want to collaborate with or, communicate with in our lives. Along with the source card, this is reminding us to speak from that core of who we are. I got totality. So this is important as far as when we're manifesting, is this complete focus. This is being in the zone, right? We have these three acrobats and they're flying and they're doing their thing. This couple here, these two that are about to grip each other's hands to do the swing the other way, right? The timing and the total focus is so important in that moment. It's if one of them kind of breaks off and thinks, oh, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? You're out of the zone, right? And then you may miss the hands and you may fall. So it's really being dialed in and without distraction to that thing that you are wanting to manifest, and using only words that you mean to get there, right? Like, let's just say I want to, I want to manifest, more feelings of ease around my brother, right? Let's just say there's tension there and I want to manifest more feelings of ease. Well, all the thoughts that come through your mind that say, well, my brother isn't behaving the way I want, he doesn't get me, I don't have, you're manifesting more disconnection in that way. When you say, I love my brother, his you know, the barriers between us are dissolving. I reach out with love and acceptance. Those words are getting you closer to manifesting that space that you want to occupy with your brother, that harmony, right? So it's finding, listening to how you speak to yourself, and listening to every thought. When your brother misbehaves, it's like, oh, there he goes again, he's horrible or whatever. That is not going to help you manifest smoother connection, right? When he behaves in a certain way, you think, oh, I wonder what he's going through. I know he'll get through this. I know he'll be okay, right? Just, it's more forward talk, forward speak, instead of stuck in the reality of what is going on. So using those impeccable words is a great way to manifest your intention. And then the next agreement is, don't take anything personally. Now, let me tell you, all these agreements are in place and interchangeable, and they may arise at different points in your journey. And don't expect 100% success, because life isn't 100% of anything, right? Except love. And we tend to get caught in the slippage, right? Oh, I know I'm not supposed to take anything personally, but I did this day. That means I'm not in agreement. Well, that's okay. That's, that goes back to, being impeccable with your word and telling yourself, this is fine. This is part of the journey, right? So not taking anything personally. The main factor here is to realize that nothing that anyone else does is because of you, right? It's not actually anything to do with you. It's moving away from sort of that, the personal attachment to other people's actions. And, what others do and say and their behavior is a projection of their own reality. It may land on you. They may accuse you or judge you or whatever, but it has nothing to do with you. It's a projection of their own reality. And when you are able to sort of create a protection from those thoughts that, oh, I don't know, they're telling me I'm a piece of crap, right? And I'm going to believe that. If you absorb that, that doesn't help on your journey to realize that the things they say are a projection of what they're going through. Then you can sort of use their, you can sort of imagine yourself in a protective shield or a bubble or some kind of a way to contain your own energy as others are sort of launching theirs at you. But that, that prevents sort of the victim mentality or, sort of almost needless suffering that for things you can't control. You can't control what others say or what they're doing. It has no reflection on you. So don't take things personally. That's a big one. That's a hard one as human beings, right? And the card that I pulled for that one is relinquish self-importance. Ooh, this one's hard. Taking things personally is like the maximum expression of selfishness, right? We make the assumption that, everything's about me, right? Yeah, you are the one receiving this. You are the one maybe in interaction and communication with someone that launches maybe negative opinions on you, and you're receiving it, but it has nothing to do with you. So taking away that filter that we have, that a lot of us, have ingrained in our minds and in our spirit, that don't do that to me. Even if it's something that's just occurring in the universe, that, I don't know, maybe you lost your job. How could this happen to me? Why is this happening to me? Well, it's happening for you. And we've heard that before, right? Things don't happen to you, they happen for you. lose your job, you explore and see what other paths you can take, and maybe you end up with a more fulfilling experience. But staying stuck in that, why is this happening to me, that creates the victim mentality. And so taking away the self-importance factor allows you to sort of open up your field of what's possible to move into next if you don't get hit so hard by what's going on in your external world and taking it personally. So relinquish self-importance. The Zen cards I pulled with that are fun. I got Thunderbolt. This is like, let all that stuff go, right? Let it go. This is telling you that, holding on to that self-importance, right? Realizing none of us want to think of ourselves as being highly selfish, right? That's not how we want it to be seen. We do want others to know how much we suffer and how much, this isn't working and I can't get to my next point or whatever. We want to sort of wallow in that sometimes. And this is the shift that we're being asked to make, is that things occur in life. They occur. There's things that are more favorable to us, and there are things that we want to resist a little more. Things are going to always occur, right? Random, the nature of life is that crap happens, right? And it's always going on. How are we standing in the middle of that? Are we taking it on as a personal hit if something doesn't go the way we want? Or are we thinking, oh, it didn't go the way I want, so I'm not either I'm not going in the right direction, or I'm being asked to pause this, not yet. And then I make my next move. But it's opening up that field of awareness so that everything isn't contained in our own mind as this is how it's affecting me, right? It's opening up that field a little bit, connecting with others as well, being aware of the collective and the shifts and the tendencies in the collective. There's always ebb and flow. There's always, what we perceive as good and bad. But really what it is life is happening. And how are we going to be in the flow of that? How will we stand? Will we stand fully aligned and knowing that some of this stuff that happens can just bounce right back off of me? Or are we going to take it all in and take it personally? I also pulled the Lovers with this card of relinquishing self-importance. So this is kind of calling for us to have an awareness and a compassion for others, for the collective. This is, the Lovers in this spread, and my intuition and the way I interpret this card to mean is, love has many forms, right? We have the basic physical, sort of chemical attraction that a lot of us feel as experiencing love. That's the human, sort of the 3D level of love. And then we have a more accepting form where we rise a little bit and we allow space for others to be as they are. And then we have that highest form of love is compassion and self-compassion, for sure. But in this spread, I'm feeling that it's more compassion for the collective, compassion for the other, right? The one that made us feel victimized, or the act that made us feel victimized, right? Moving from a space of love and compassion is always the quickest way to move out of a tricky situation or a feeling of feeling stuck. It's dive into the core of who you are, find the love, be in gratitude, and that loosens up the blocks that are there. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. So we had be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, right? We are built in, we are conditioned with so many assumptions that we hold as truth, right? And I think that biggest assumption that we make is all the things we think are the truth. All of our thoughts and beliefs are true. And when something comes along that's counter to that that person that spoke that word or that incident that happened that goes against what I believe is true is wrong, is bad, is a lie, right? The biggest trick here is to unwind those assumptions that are ingrained in us, that all of our thoughts are the truth. They're not. They're not the truth. And that brings us back to not being impeccable with our word because we're speaking from an assumption, right? So that's a really tough one to unravel sometimes. Using judgment, self-criticism, those kind of things become sort of mixed in with all the assumptions we make. We want to really ask questions, get curious, right? If there is something that you want to achieve, I don't know, say I want to go and I don't know, I want to go to the park and I'm gonna, watch people playing with, all these different color balls and I want the blue one, right? But there's one person playing with it and I assume I don't have access to the blue ball. I'm not going to be able to get there, right? Until we go back to the first agreement, become impeccable with our word. I would really like to play with the blue ball today, right? They're all intertwined if you can see that, but assumptions shut us down is what I'm really trying to say. And in that vein, the card that I pulled for that section, don't make assumptions, is communicate with clarity. This is back to being impeccable with your word. All these agreements are intertwined, but being able to really state, communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings. And then if a misunderstanding arises, continue to communicate. Don't shut down. Don't say you're wrong. Don't assume, you said that in order to hurt my feelings or whatever. This is a higher level of communicating, right? If someone says something that kind of rattles you and goes against your grain and isn't, part of how you see things, then you enhance the communication. You add fuel to it. You continue it. You don't stop. You don't fight back and say you're wrong, right? Communicate with clarity. And the first Zen card that I pulled with that is control. This is this is a mind. This is a mental energy. This is, I need everyone to align with the way I think, with my assumptions. Otherwise, everyone's all wrong, right? And, as it pertains to communicating with clarity, let go of the need to control every outcome. Let go of that. Allow the space for you and others to kind of, coexist and work in a fashion that each can express their needs and express what they want to achieve, and then they combine to create the highest good for all. We are, and that brings us back to, taking things personally. When things don't go the way we want, then it's like, oh, that's bad and wrong, and they screwed us over, right? Or whatever. So continuing to communicate with clarity. This is how I see it. This is what I would like to achieve. These are the steps I would like to take. When I hear you say this, it makes me feel this way. How can we smooth that over? Whatever that is, but continue to be clear in your expression and not try to control what others think, control the idea that you have that I need to, get to this understanding with them. And that's the only way that I'm going to resolve it, right? This is a big one, letting go of those mental stories that you tell yourself and how they affect others. And then I pulled another mental energy card, but this time it's, whoops, I dropped it. Hold on. Good. Okay. This is the consciousness card. This is bringing your mental awareness to a higher level. This is expanding to a higher level of communicating. Notice how the third eye is lit up there in this illustration of the Buddha. And it's almost like within your mind's eye, you could sort of physically see yourself rising to a higher level, like maybe climbing a mountain or getting up on a perch of some type, and there's more air up there, there's more breath, there's more space to move, you can see more, there's more possibility, you could maybe see the ways that you want to communicate more clearly, right? This is a lighthouse too. There's a beacon there that keeps us drawn to the best and highest for everyone. So moving from that energy of mental control, which is a very, very stuck energy. If you see that, this person is all hard angles, that fists are clenched. There's probably a dour expression on that figure's face, and it's just stuck. There's no movement, there's no breath. There's some light coming from the crown, but it hasn't quite. And from the base, I see that trying to you know release some of that feeling of stuckness. So there's hope, but rising to a higher perspective is always going to help us. And it will help us communicate with more clarity too, because we're not focused on the nitty gritty and what's occurring down here in this level of communicating. We can rise above it and see that anything anyone says and anything that we say is loaded. It has, so much more energy behind it that isn't just what they said in that moment. Like, say someone says, I don't know, I don't know, I think you're stubborn, whatever, to you. Then it's like, oh, really? Then wait, maybe you don't feel like you're stubborn, but it feels like an accusation to you. They're telling you they think you're stubborn. Well, that goes back to don't take anything personally, because that phrase or that idea coming in your direction that they think you're stubborn is coming from their own experience. I'm experiencing you as stubborn is a little more honest, right? That's communicating with clarity. That's not accusing someone and pointing fingers and saying you're to blame for the way I see things because I think you're being stubborn and we can't make progress, whatever. So there's always a higher perspective to find. And if we keep reaching for that, then our communications can benefit from that. And then the final agreement is always do your best. So we have don't be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And that best, that concept changes. From moment to moment, it changes, right? When you feel well, then your best is a lot different than when you feel ill, right? Or when you feel you're, communicating clearly and moving toward your intentions, your best is wide open, and there's so much possibility, right? But when you feel blocked and when you're not in manifestation mode and you're not using your impeccable thoughts and those kinds of concepts from the first agreement, then your best is a little different, right? It's limited to the things that you're telling yourself within your mind, right? So we always tell our kids when we're raising them, try your best, always do your best. And then we don't, allow for that for ourselves, right? And the always do your best card says, stay in the present moment. Keep your attention on today, on now, and realize this is a new day. This moment is the beginning of what's to come. My new understanding, my new practice, my new project. This moment is the beginning of that. And being able to move from this moment forward with our other agreements aligned, right? Our impeccable word, staying attuned to, what we may or may not be assuming, and then not taking anything personally. If we move forward from there, we have more space and breath from which to achieve. If we are, and then we're always doing our best. If we are assuming negative things or focused on, oh, but it didn't work out before, and holding ourselves in place, we're not living in from this moment. We're living from a past, a memory or a past idea. And remember, a past belief, and those are not always necessarily true. And our truth continues to shift with each moment, right? So this is a forward moving energy. Always do your best. And staying in the present moment, I got with that silence. This is a meditative vibration. This is another third eye opening there with that figure in the clouds, and the full moon is lighting up the intuition and then lighting up the sea or the land below it. I keep feeling that's water, but it might not be. But present moment is breathing life into the now and trying to quiet the thoughts, especially if they're not impeccable thoughts, and assumptions, trying to quiet those a little more and being more based in the reality that we're in now in this moment. And then the final card that goes with that I got is maturity. And this is another, you can see that figure is completely at rest with what is. There's wisdom to draw on and ease and grace in this illustration. Really just taking in everything you've learned, the experiences you've had to this point, and allowing those to buoy you, sort of to propel you forward toward those things that you want to achieve. So that's it for now, for that card, for that reading. And now I'm going to pull a little bit of an extra couple cards to give us another message into this concept, into the four agreements. So I got purify the mind with wholesome thoughts. Calmness arises. I mean, what could be better? Purify the mind with wholesome thoughts. Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. This refers to all of these. Don't take things personally and always do your best. Wholesome thoughts. Things are going well. Things are always finding a way to work out for me. These are the thoughts that you want, instead of I can't get anywhere. Everywhere I turn, there's a block, that kind of a thing. So purifying this requires some real introspection. And I would suggest that, if you're in meditative practice and you have a daily practice with meditation, ramp it up a little, add time to it, or add another session at the end of the day. Do one in the morning and one in the afternoon. This is actively clearing and purifying our minds and our thoughts, so that what we're left with is impeccable word, right? The space to not, take things personally, allowing for others' perceptions and projections that don't reach your own core, your own heart, not making any assumptions, and then always doing your best. That, meditation will help you sort of accelerate your practice with the four agreements. And that's it for now. And I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.